Why does growth feel so painful? We can sometimes go into this process or process through this with almost rose tinted glasses, thinking everything's going to be love and light. And there are moments when that is happening, and it does happen when you start to experience that, when you're working through the old patterns and renewing, going through rebirth moments. There are spectacular moments, but there's also a large part of it which actually feels quite painful. There's this deep recalibration that's happening within you, and it's moving away from the old and going into the new. And there's feels like consistent realizations of the old story, everything playing out, patterns playing out. And it's the realization, and you go through moments of grief of having to let that part of you die. You have to be prepared to let parts of you go forever. And it's through that transitional phase, it's like a gradient phase of transition, that we experience these moments where it just feels really, it feels there's a lot of discomfort going on. When you realize you're turning your back on the life that you once knew so intimately. And it's also the pain and discomfort of walking into something that you have no idea what that is. You don't at this point, you're just having and receiving. I would feel, if you're watching anything like this, you're receiving just little pulls and little whispers that are saying this life, how it's constructed now, isn't for you. It is no longer aligned. And it's the pain of losing relationships, the realignment of friendships that may have been around for years, that were constructed from that survival mechanism. I often call it that, from that survival, uncomfortable, familiar that we've been accustomed to up to this point. Our habits and behaviors start to change. We have to let go of habitual thinking processes and habitual beliefs that have been playing out. And there is this attachment that comes to that inner mechanism of those thoughts and beliefs. They come with an attachment, an identity within themselves that weirdly over time have created a feeling of unfamiliar discomfort and a familiarity that has served you up to a point, but now is no longer aligned. And it's that attachment and the letting go of that which can create this feeling of discomfort. And it's really interesting how we develop a safety net of familiar uncomfortableness that's happening within us. The roots of our identity, the identity that's kept us safe, that's created this cage up to this point, that is very much orchestrated and governed by the emotion of fear. And we have all of this playing out. We have everything that's associated with that emotion playing out within us, which creates this attachment and this almost this inner relationship going on within us. And it's interesting how letting that go can feel more painful than the actual attachments and the thinking and the belief systems that we're actually letting go of. It's a really interesting human dilemma, and especially one that's very confronting when it comes to your experience, your subjective experience. And we have to work, what feels like we have to work through lots of different patterns all playing out. And there's this no man's land. It's the in-between phase of who you've been to who you are becoming, the future self that's now, you can feel the echoes and the whispers of the future self of your true nature, the one that you feel more aligned with, the one that you desperately want to become aligned with and start to embody the qualities of that future self that is whispering to you in the now. And letting go of the old it becomes very uncomfortable. We go through this phase. We have to let go of the leaves. Does a tree become sad because it's letting go of the brown leaves? But it knows deep down that new leaves are going to grow just in a few months' time. And it's trusting that similarity. And it's very interesting how we mirror different aspects of nature. And we have to shed our leaves. We go through these moments where we have to go through a winter month where nothing makes sense. Everything, the parts of ourselves we have to be prepared to let go of, just so new sprouts can start springing in spring. So, where are you right now when it comes to this process? When it comes to you're navigating this area where you're feeling really uncomfortable at the minute. There's parts of you dying. There's parts that you're realizing that you have to let go of. And it's the journey of allowing that process to happen. That's where the power lies in the process, is because the more we resist change, the more that we cling on to what we have that we want to let go of. And it is the state of allowing which allows the unfoldment of the process to feel and progress forward a lot smoother, a lot more flow based. When you can recognize something for what it is, and that is just an old part of yourself, a pattern that just needs to be allowed to play out, to feel into that you are just observing all the phenomena that's happening, to just be a non-verbal objective observer of all the phenomena that's happened, is a real poised position to be in. It's like a mudra, like a hand position, but it's an inward state that you'll position yourself in to just observe everything happen. And it's within that positioning that you allow the leaves to just fall away. You come into the knowingness that you're just going through a winter month. And it helps with the discomfort. It helps with what we could feel in the moment as pain, as grief. And we have to go through those moments of grief. And it's totally okay. So let me know, a little drop into the comments and let me know where you're at. What are you trying to actively work through at the minute? Are you trying to nurture the quality of allowing within your process? Let me know, my friends. I'd love to hear about your journey. And from here, I cannot wait to see you in the next video.